America's Crazy Hat Competition, part of a week-long celebration leading to tomorrow's Pioneer Days Parade in Carbondale, Pennsylvania.
Nice lids. Thanks to all those kids and to WYOU-TV in Scranton.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Paula Zahn.
And I'm Harry Smith. Good morning, everybody.
Coming up in just a couple of minutes, our consumer correspondent Hattie Kaufman has the story of a scam that preys on people desperate for jobs. It promises work but never delivers. And if your children are terrified of a trip to the dentist, Dr. Bob Arnott has some news you'll want to hear.
What about us? Also,
I could use some help with that.
Also in this half hour, we have some surprises in store for you when Bruce Willis tells our Gene Siskel which movies he'd rent at the video store.
In the top of the news this morning, Mikhail Gorbachev spoke to the Russian parliament this morning, appearing with Boris Yeltsin for the first time since the failed coup. Gorbachev announced what amounts to a coalition government, the replacement of important government officials with Yeltsin's supporters. When Gorbachev thanked Yeltsin for his support during the coup, he got a standing ovation. But there was some heckling during a speech in which he appealed for everyone to resist anti-communist hysteria. One of the men Gorbachev fired this morning was his former foreign minister, Alexander Bezsmertnik. Mikhail Gorbachev is facing new pressure now from both inside and outside the Soviet Union to speed up the process of giving the Baltic republics independence. The Baltics themselves want action now, as Peter Van Sant reports from Estonia.
In the aftermath of the failed coup and the pullout of Soviet troops, there is a growing clamor in the Baltic states for immediate independence, instant nationhood. They feel it's time to push the Kremlin to get what they want.
Freedom and we can do what we want. We can be the independence, you know. We don't belong to Soviet Union anymore.
Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are all demanding to be recognized by the West as sovereign nations. And in what could be a significant step, both Denmark and Iceland say they may grant recognition to the Baltics.
I hope it will be now much more possible to go further with our demands and our possibilities to get independence again.
With the conservatives in Moscow on the run and the military leadership discredited, Estonians believe this is their best chance since 1940 to reclaim their country.
It has speed. Now we see that the situation is changed and we can do things. We have been prepared for a long time, but now we can do it.
Behind the boldness, there is some caution. Barricades will remain around the Estonian parliament until all Soviet troops are out of the republic. On the streets, there is a festive mood, a genuine feeling that independence may be just around the corner. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Tallinn, Estonia.
In other news this morning, a nurse charged with the murder of one patient but suspected in 17 similar deaths surrendered to authorities in Alabama yesterday. 34-year-old Joe Aiken is charged with the murder of Robert Price. Price's family says he died from lidocaine poisoning. Officials in Georgia are investigating the deaths of 17 patients at another hospital where Aiken worked. A Northwest Airlines jet was forced to make an emergency landing yesterday after one of its engines caught fire. The Boeing 747 had just taken off from Seattle on its way to Tokyo when the fire was detected. The 385 people on board were evacuated by emergency chute. 11 passengers were hurt during that evacuation. Finally this morning, is it your dream to be named the Princess of a State Fair and have your likeness sculpted in a dairy product? Well, dreams apparently come true in Minnesota. Meet 21-year-old Julianne Felger. She's the Princess K of the Milky Way at the Minnesota State Fair. Her beauty will be preserved in an 85-pound block of butter for all of eternity, or at least until the rolls are served. That's the news at 25 minutes before the hour. Time to check in with Mark McEwen.
Princess Oleo, I think they would call it.
You see an ad in the paper and it says, work overseas, high-income positions, tax-free, call this number. So you call to see if you can get one of those high-income jobs? Well, we met a couple of guys who tried.
$60,000 a year, that was really all I needed to hear to sell me on the idea that, I want to do this.
It's a chance to travel.
Wow, let's go overseas.
Steve May and Travers Putnam were told they could get jobs guarding a nuclear plant in Turkey, but they had to move fast. To guarantee the jobs, they had to send money right away to the Bureau of Foreign Employment. Okay, so you send the $400 in.
The next morning, Federal Express.
Do you have any qualms about doing it?
At that point, no, I didn't. I really didn't.
Let me see this receipt in the mail.
Travers sent $400 too.
Yeah.
In exchange for their money, the Bureau of Foreign Employment sent contracts and an impressive-looking booklet on working overseas. Well, it sounds here like they're talking about giving you recruiting costs, relocation, living expenses, benefits, bonuses, overtime, education. They thought they'd be shipping out within days, but then weeks stretched into months.
I started saying to the guys, I said, hey, we're not going to hear a damn thing from these people. There was the recording that, this number has been disconnected.
The Bureau of Foreign Employment had disappeared, and according to federal investigators, had reopened with a new name, Intercontinental Employment Group. This week, postal inspectors raided the new office.
We are federal police officers, we are postal inspectors, and we have a federal search warrant for these premises.
How many jobs do you think people have found through here?
I have no idea. I answer the incoming calls. I don't really deal with that area.
Sir, do you know how many jobs have been found for people from this?
That wouldn't be my area. That's more the administrative.
According to the Florida Attorney General, this is how the scam worked. The company placed ads in papers across the country offering jobs overseas with a number to call in Tampa. Workers there were instructed how to handle the calls. Quote, tell them that you hit pay dirt, that you do have jobs available in their field.
People were promised quick placement, jobs paying 10 to 50% more than what they could get paid over here in the United States. And as far as we know, no one got a job.
Do you feel a bit foolish now?
Of course, I feel like a jerk. I feel like a real jerk.
Would you have any advice for anybody else out there looking maybe in the want ad?
Don't send a nickel. Don't send a nickel. Call the Attorney General's office, call the Better Business Bureau, get an idea of what this company's coming from, or what they're offering, and if they've got any background. If not,
don't send them anything.
Don't send them anything.
Postal inspectors hope to indict the leaders of Intercontinental Employment Group. In the meantime, they've blocked the company from receiving any more mail, which means receiving any more checks in the mail, effectively shutting them down. Here.
Certainly there are legitimate overseas jobs out there, but how do you know if it's a scam or not?
Yeah, it's hard to tell from the ad. You really get to the clues when you call. One, if they say, we've got jobs for you no matter what your experience. That's a key. This company was offering people who delivered pizza jobs overseas. Two, if they say send money right now, that's another beware sign, because you shouldn't send money before you have a contract, before you even know what you're buying.
Wow, good story. Thanks, Hattie.
Sure.
Paula?
Before the hour right now, coming up next, Dr. Bob Arnott and taking some of the terror out of your kid's trip to the dentist. We'll be right back.
As he put it, would be to finish myself off. In one of the oddest pairings ever, I understand that Vladimir Khrushchev, the KG, formerly now of the KGB, flew home with Mr. Gorbachev on the same plane. Did they communicate? Well, I'm not sure whether they did, but I think it was a clever trick to lull Mr. Khrushchev into a false sense of security, and of course he was arrested as soon as he got off that plane. Mr. Gorbachev, when we saw him, was quite cautious, actually, about blaming the coup leaders. He was very careful not to name anybody. He said, of course, it was absolute rubbish, was the phrase he used, the idea that he was in ill health. He said, of course, it was a coup d'etat and a gamble, but he didn't name any people. And when we said, well, are these people under arrest? Are they going to be punished? He said, well, we've got to have an investigation. So he sounded cautious, but I think it was obviously just a temporary maneuver to make sure he got out of that place. He got the people with him, and then when he was much more safe back in Moscow, he could get them under lock and key.
Jonathan Steele, in Moscow. Thank you, sir, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We're coming up on 7:42, still ahead in this half hour. The Queen of Soul. Aretha Franklin's got a lot going on these days. We'll talk about it. And in our second hour, Gene Shalit reviews the new entry from the Coen brothers, Barton Fink. We'll get to all that after these messages.
If I close my eyes, I...
looking at 17 minutes before the hour. Time to check in with Dr. Bob Arnott to talk about one of my greatest fears and one of children's greatest fears, the dentist. I'm not kidding. My blood pressure soars. 2 days before I go to the dentist. I've always been that way from the time I was like 4 years old.
Well,
I'm terrified.
Well,
no matter what they're going to do to me, even if they're just going to clean my teeth.
You're not alone. We all remember, as Paula does, being kicking and dragging as we screamed our way into the dentist's office. But now, believe it or not, many youngsters think of a trip to the dentist as a treat.
For 4-year-old Sally Holmes, a trip to the dentist is almost like a festive birthday party, minus the candy and cake. In the waiting room, Sally can play with her favorite toys, building blocks, dolls, even Nintendo. And the real fun doesn't even begin until she gets into the dentist chair.
I'm going to raise the seat up and lay it back so you can go watch the movie, all right?
Sally has her choice of 10 movies she can watch on an overhead TV. Gone are the days of dreaded dental visits, thanks to an innovative new field, pediatric dentistry.
Our whole training is aimed at making something that might be inherently unpleasant, pleasant for the child. It's sort of like having a play date, and in the process of having a play date, the teeth get checked and work gets done and the teeth get cleaned. It's not a fearful environment.
Dr. Best makes his dental exam a stress-free experience. Before he starts, the doctor offers Sally a custom-made balloon shaped into her favorite animal. Even with all the fun, quality dental care doesn't suffer. Thanks to an emphasis on preventive treatment, half of all youngsters between 4 and 14 have never had a single cavity.
That's for you.
Now, a lot of the reason the kids are fearful when they go to the dentist is because of the mystery involved. The Princeton Dental Resource Center has a technique here that they have lent to us, and it is a special camera where we can go inside your mouth.
This might not be a very quick sight. I was one of those kids that did eat candy.
All right, so let's go
So
inside
the
here.
to prove it.
And what I want to do is we go in, we'll go back up here. This is a close-up then of this tooth, and I'm going to try and freeze this. I can freeze that frame there.
So you can see the lovely filling I just got that took 2.5 hours to, in the chair to make.
So for kids, what it allows them to do is to see the examination of their mouth. The dentist can show what the problem is, explain what he's going to do about it. This is 38 times the normal size. You get a printout, and it also helps in terms of diagnosis because the dentist can get such a close-up view of your tooth.
How many dentists are using this kind of equipment?
Well, not a lot yet. I mean, this is fairly expensive stuff, but it also is a fairly cool trick.
All right.
Now, some other things here. When you go to the dentist, they are going to examine your child's teeth to determine whether or not there's enough fluoride. The main reason that there's been this 50% decrease in the number of cavities in kids' teeth is the use of fluoride. They will recommend that you have your child brush his or her teeth twice a day, after breakfast and before they go to bed. It's in a circular motion here above the gum and then straight down. You don't want to be making a circular motion.
Like you do for adults to get the gum stimulated.
Well, the key thing is that right here is very sensitive in a child, so you don't want to be stroking too much through the actual gum interface.
Does it make any difference at all what kind of toothpaste you use?
You should use an American Dental Association approved toothpaste, and it should have fluoride in it. If your child's not getting enough fluoride, then the dentist may recommend a gel, a mouthwash, or another supplement that has more fluoride.
But the child can still use adult toothpaste, too. It's basically the same stuff.
Sure, this is just, you know, it's sweeter and has the sparkles in it.
Those sparkles, it'll do it every time.
About the age of 3, you should take your child to the dentist to consider using a plastic sealant. It's a liquid plastic sealant. These nooks and crannies here are where you're apt to get cavities in your molars. And by using a sealant that goes over here, you can cut the number of cavities 23 times. The unfortunate part of this is that only about 8% of kids are currently using these sealants, largely because parents don't know to go.
Or the price. Someone was telling me this morning their child had it done. It was $40 a tooth. But it is pretty widely available.
That's a New York City price, and two, think of how much it's going to cost you per cavity if they get cavities in these teeth. So you're paying up front to save later. Last, the use of mouth guards. Custom mouth guards, custom made to your child's mouth, are important because they're not going to fall out. You know, you always see football players what's falling out of your mouth. By having a custom mouth guard, it's going to be very helpful. The key sports where children are going to hurt or lose their teeth are going to be bicycling, skateboarding, and baseball. So it's an important thing to have.
Football would have been right on the
No, those are number 1, 2, and 3.
I even got a picture to show everybody of my new gold ceiling here. Ooh la la. 12 minutes before the hour coming up next. Bruce Willis's favorite movies. Our Gene Siskel has that scoop.
Got the chance to find out, and he joins us from WBBM TV in Chicago. Good morning, Gene.
Good morning, Harry. And I asked Bruce Willis to make some video recommendations that he thought his fans might enjoy seeing. And I took him through 3 categories. He started by naming a favorite romantic scene in Preston Sturges' comedy, The Lady Eve.
There is a love scene in there, a kind of a love scene for that time, where they never kiss. She takes him down to her stateroom, and she asks him to help her put a shoe on.
Here's a business I wouldn't mind being in. I never realized before how lovely it should be.
Oh, thank you. We better get back now.
Yes, I guess so. You see, where I've been, I mean up the Amazon, you kind of forget how... I mean, when you haven't seen a girl in a long time.
It's just how close she gets. I mean, Barbara Stanwyck, when I saw that film, I wanted to marry her. I said, please, where are you now? I said, step off that film, and I want to marry you. I was so in love with this woman. She is just so hot in that scene. You know, love scenes now and sex scenes now have become so, you know, graphic and over the top that I just don't know if anybody would be able to look at it and not think they should be seeing more.
Drama.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
I run up to the window, and I seen him with my Mayella.
At a time when no one in the country wanted to look at, you know, racism and hatred. I remember being really affected by that film. I was a kid.
Action.
Spartacus. It is Spartacus.
What do you like about Spartacus?
I like Kirk Douglas. I like Kirk Douglas. I like how he was as a kid. I just...
Is it the fact that you're watching a guy in a loincloth and breastplate play it all out?
No, I just liked how the men... He had a moral code.
Take care of my son, Virginia. If he never knows me, tell him who I was and what we dreamed of. Tell him the truth. There'll be plenty of others to tell him lies.
In the circumstances of his world, he had a moral code, and I always liked that. I've always been, you know, attracted to that.
So say, you might say, you know, I've made the best action picture.
God, no.
Okay. Well, some people think they're awfully...
Look, modern action films have really taken a beating. They're, you know, never nominated for any awards. That they're kind of sneered at as if they're somehow easier to make, or that, I mean, it is so hard to play a believable action character as opposed to an emotional, you know, kitchen sink, you know, biting your nails, hard guy in a, you know, serious drama.
I think these video choices can be kind of revealing. Bruce Willis has this sort of image of this off-camera wild guy earlier in his career. These video choices are very square shooter mainstream, and I think that may account for his popularity as an action hero in the Die Hard pictures, a regular guy caught up in a wild world that he is able to, through straight values, conquer. Bruce Willis, a regular guy.
Gene, what about some early Bruce Willis movies, or Bruce Willis movies, period, that folks might not know about as a video recommendation?
You know, the one that I like, and it's going to always be on the shelf because it wasn't a big hit, was In Country, directed by Norman Jewison, where Bruce Willis, I think, gives his very best performance as a Vietnam veteran. It's an excellent film. Emily Lloyd is also in that picture, does a real good job. In Country, it'll be on the shelf, and you'll see Bruce Willis, I think, at the top of his acting game.
All right, Gene, good to see you. Thanks.
Nice to see you, Harry.
We'll be back.